Dyson sphere program. What if there were more alternative energy sources? There are several types of energy sources in the game. Wind turbine, solar panel, thermal power plant, geothermal power station, mini fusion power plant, ray receiver and artificial star. Let's briefly review each and draw some conclusion. Wind turbine. As the name implies, the wind turbine generates energy using wind. It produces 300 kilowatts of energy at 100% wind efficiency, assuming there is an atmosphere. It's a stable initial energy source. Cons: cannot be placed too close to each other, produce relatively little energy. Pros: cheap to craft, and in newer version can be placed on water. Solar panel. The solar panel generates energy from the sun, producing 360 kilowatts of energy at 100% sunlight if it's daytime. It's an alternative to the wind turbine, but comes with more than one caveat. Cons: does not work at night, produce little power, operates only around 50% of the time, and it's not effective on gas giant satellites. It's better to build close to the sun. For example, when I place solar panels on a satellite of a gas giant in nearby system about 3 astronomical units away with 7/10 in luminance, I regret not checking the calculator. The satellite would often alight with the gas giant, blocking the sun, and it rotates so slowly that sometime in cycle I had no energy. As a result, the solar panel's efficiency ranged from 11% to 13.3%, average just 25%. Pros: can be placed close together than wind turbines. Thermal power plant. The thermal power plant burns energy efficient fuel, generating two full 1600 megawatts of energy. The best fuel range from coal and energetic graphite to hydrogen. This is the primary energy source until we build a Dyson sphere. So, having a gas giant in the system early game and mid game and even later game is always great. Pros: cheap to craft, independent of external factors, and there are always some kind of fuel to burn. Cons: despite being a reliable energy source, it often does not provide enough energy for large-scale production, especially when space becomes limited. Running out of energy is a common issue in mid-game. Geothermal power station. This station draws energy from magma, producing 2 whole 4/10 megawatts of energy at 100% efficiency. It requires magma, typically found on lava planets closest to the star. I recommend placing the station in areas with at least 40% efficiency, preferably 18% and higher. In my experience with lava planets 16 in total, on average, you can expect around 1 gigawatt of total energy from a lava planet. Cons: requires magma and manual placement, unless mods make this easier. Pros: free energy, making it useful from early to mid game. Mini fusion power plant. This is more advanced version of the thermal power plant, using deuterium fuel rods to produce 15 megawatts of energy. Cons: expensive to build and maintain due to the fuel supply. Compared to other energy sources, it's not always the best option. Pros: a viable alternative in the mid-game, but I rarely use it myself. We'll discuss the energy exchanger and accumulator another time, but briefly, they are useful within a single system. I will also talk about painting in future videos, but in short, painting energy producing station can double their output by speeding up fuel consumption. Prioritize painting graviton lines, antimatter fuel rods, and white cubes. There is no point in painting fuel sources like hydrogen for thermal power plants. Save your paint. Ray receiver. This device harnesses energy from the Dyson sphere, functionally similar to a solar panel. Ray receiver produce between 6 and 15 megawatts of energy. They should be placed on planetary poles for longer daylight exposure or ideal on tidally locked planets. If a planet is positioned at the center of the sphere, ray receiver will always generate energy. They can also convert Dyson sphere energy into antimatter at 4:1 ratio. Gravitation lines boost both energy production and antimatter generation, but they are optional. Don't forget, you need an atmosphere on the planet to use them. Cons: require a Dyson sphere, and until one is built, you will need an alternative energy source. Pros: once the sphere is complete, a ray receiver provides free energy to the system, making them a more reliable option than the mini fusion power plant. Artificial star. This is an upgraded version of the mini fusion power plant that consumes only antimatter fuel rod, but it's 5 times more efficient. It produces 72 megawatts of energy. To obtain antimatter fuel rods, you will need a Dyson sphere to extract photons, which can then be converted into antimatter. Once the fuel is produced, it can be used anywhere. This is the most advanced energy source in the game. Pros: the most efficient energy source, considering its scalable production. Cons: require Dyson sphere and likely more than one, to ensure sufficient fuel production. It's recommended to build a larger sphere, ideally around an O-type star with luminance 2 and more. We can consider the existing sources of energy in the game. Now let's move on the topic of our theme. It will be interesting if there were two new energy sources in the game, not as mods if any exist, but officially added: tidal power station and nuclear power plant. Tidal power station. A tidal power station would harness the energy of tides, and by extension the gravitational forces of nearby celestial bodies. In this case, gravity is our ally. The station could be implemented as a hybrid between a wind turbine and geothermal power station, with an additional fetus, a tidal strength indicator for planets. It could only be placed on water, taking up as much space as two thermal power plants, with a similar operational radius as two wind turbines. The planet would need at least 20% water coverage to place the station. At 100% tidal stretch, the station would produce 3 megawatts of power. You might think that this is a lot compared to the geothermal power station, and you will be right. However, achieving more than 100% tidal strength would only be possible on water-versed planets. Most planets would likely fall between 20% and 60% water coverage. The size and proximity of gas giant would play a key role in determining the tidal strength of any nearby moons or planets with water. On average, you could expect about 1.5 megawatts of stable energy from one tidal power station. Construction: steel and stone brick or steel and foundation 20 pieces each, electromagnetic turbine 4 pieces, processor 2 pieces, gear 20 pieces. Mini bonus: it could also be interesting to introduce planets with seas and lakes contain oil instead of water, allowing oil to be pumped directly like exit. I hope I have no need to explain why tidal power station in oil or exit is a bad idea. Conclusion: the tidal power station would add variety to the available energy sources, offering a unique mid-tier option similar to the geothermal power station. While not a huge energy producer, it would provide a stable early game source of energy that could complement other methods without disrupting the overall energy balance. Nuclear power plant. A nuclear power plant would utilize the energy from nuclear fusion, specifically the splitting of atoms, to produce power via water, steam and turbines, also common in real-world power generation. To implement this, uranium ore should be added as a new resource in the game, with veins colored yellow or green. Uranium should be relatively rare compared to fire ice or kimberlite ore. It could even be found in small amounts in the starting system. Additionally, plutonium ore could be introduced with veins colored gray or black, located between graphite crystal and stalagmite crystal in terms of rarity. Both ore could emit gauge counter sounds when the player is nearby and changing impatient. Their ores would need to be mined and proceed in centrifuge building, while should also be added to the game. The processed ores would yield uranium rods and plutonium rods. The nuclear power plant would feed in uranium rods and or plutonium rods, with the latter tripling the energy output. The station would also require energetic graphite as a shielding material and water as a coolant. Free resource would be consumed to generate 5 to 15 megawatts of energy, depending on the materials used. Centrifuge construction modeled after the fractionator. Titanium glass replaced glass, foundation replaced stone brick, titanium alloy replaced steel, processor left. Nuclear power plant construction. Titanium alloy 20 pieces, supermagnetic ring 6 pieces, carbon nanotube 20 pieces, processor 5 pieces. Conclusion: the nuclear power plant would provide a more diverse mid-game energy solution, especially when building a Dyson sphere is still underway and energy shortage arises. It would be particularly useful in systems without gas giants, offering better energy generation than the mini fusion power plant, which require deuterium, a resource not always reliably available in the early game. This addition would be logical and well justified, in changing gameplay by filling a critical energy gap in the mid-game. Bonus: I could delve into the topic of nuclear fusion in more detail, but I will save that for a future video. If you are interested, be sure to leave a comment or like.